In the late 1960s, Northern California was gripped by fear. A shadowy figure, calling himself the Zodiac, terrorized the public with a string of brutal murders and cryptic letters sent to the press. Who was he? And could he strike again? Welcome back. Today, we dive into one of America's most infamous unsolved cases, the Zodiac Killer. From cryptic ciphers to chilling taunts, this case has baffled investigators, journalists, and amateur sleuths for decades. As always, viewer discretion is advised for this episode as we go through some of the details of these horrific crimes. Part 1. The First Attacks. The story of the Zodiac Killer is a dark chapter in American criminal history, a period of time when fear replaced tranquility in the San Francisco Bay Area. It all began on December 20th, 1968. The location, a desolate road near Vallejo, California, far from prying eyes and ears. High school sweethearts David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 14, had parked there for some alone time. But that evening would end in tragedy. Around 10:30 p.m., a lone gunman approached their parked vehicle. What transpired next would chill the region to its core. Witnesses later described seeing a car speeding away from the scene, leaving behind two teenagers slumped over in their car, both shot dead. This incident shook the community. But what was initially thought to be a one-off crime would soon be revealed as the sinister prelude to a terrifying spree. 6 months later, on July 4, 1969, as the nation celebrated its independence, another young couple, Darlene Ferrin, 22, and Michael Mago, 19, were parked in a secluded area near Lake Herman. Their quiet evening was shattered when a stranger opened fire, leaving Darlene dead at the scene and Michael critically wounded. Miraculously, Michael survived and provided the first eyewitness account of the attacker. He described a man in his late 20s, medium build, wearing a hood. This physical description and the modus operandi, shooting at close range, became chillingly consistent with the attack on David and Betty. Fear began to grip the residents of Northern California. A serial killer was among them, and he was still out there. Part 2. The letters begin. The personal horror of the attacks was amplified by the Zodiac's unsettling letters. Shortly after the murders, San Francisco newspapers started receiving disturbing missives purportedly from the killer himself. These letters contained cryptic ciphers, puzzles that the killer dared authorities and the public to solve. One such letter read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. I am going to have everyone ask me how I am getting away with it. They will never catch me. Already the police have given up on catching me." Accompanying the letter was a bizarre symbol, a circle with a cross through it. What became known worldwide as the Zodiac symbol. These letters weren't just taunts, they were psychological warfare. The killer reveled in the fear he was spreading, taking sadistic pleasure in tormenting the public and law enforcement alike. He claimed credit for crimes the police hadn't yet linked to him, boasting, "I was the one that did the trick in the Presidio." And he threatened more murders if his letters were ignored. The impact was profound. The fear in the community intensified and the media frenzy reached a fever pitch. Every new letter from the Zodiac dominated headlines and fueled public anxiety. Part 3. Investigation and Suspects. As the Zodiac's shadow loomed larger, so did the need for swift and decisive police action. The Vallejo Police Department, along with other local agencies, threw every resource at solving these gruesome crimes. But as the investigation deepened, it became clear that this was not a typical serial killer case. The standard investigative procedures of the time proved fruitless. The killer left no fingerprints, no trace of his DNA, and carefully avoided witnesses when possible. This lack of tangible evidence left law enforcement in a precarious position, struggling to connect any suspect to the crimes definitively. Despite the daunting challenges, the police refused to be deterred. They followed every lead, however tenuous, hoping to catch a break in the case. One such lead pointed them to Arthur Lee Allen, a local man with a dubious past. Allen was a registered sex offender and was known to frequent the areas where the attacks took place. Several witnesses also placed him in the vicinity of the crimes, and he even owned a Zodiac watch, though there was no concrete proof linking him to the murders. Allen became a prime suspect, and for a time, it seemed as if the police might have their man. However, as often happens in such investigations, evidence fell short of securing a conviction. And with a lack of forensic proof, Allen was eventually released. To this day, he remains one of the most infamous suspects in the Zodiac case, though his alibi for the time of the crimes was corroborated by several people. The killer was still at large, striking fear into the hearts of many. Part 4. The Cryptic Ciphers. Amongst the most perplexing aspects of the Zodiac Killer case are the cryptic ciphers he sent to the press. These coded messages not only showcased the killer's twisted psyche, but also posed a significant challenge to investigators and amateur sleuths alike. The first set of ciphers arrived in August 1969. The Zodiac sent three 340-character cryptograms to various newspapers. At the time, the public was baffled. The messages appeared to be nonsensical strings of characters with no apparent meaning. But that didn't deter those eager to crack the case. Amateur codebreakers and journalists alike dedicated countless hours to deciphering the messages. The efforts paid off for some. One of the ciphers, known as the Z340, was finally cracked in 2020 by a group of Belgian cryptographers using modern software. The decoded message read, "I hope you are enjoying the mystery too much. Soon you will have the chance to catch me if you can. I leave my calling card in the next place." While the decoded message shed light on the killer's mindset, providing insights into his sadistic nature and love for games, it offered no concrete clues about his identity. The message, "I leave my calling card in the next place," was particularly ominous. Was he taunting the police, suggesting that he would strike again? Or was it merely a boast, a declaration of his freedom? This question lingered, unanswered, deepening the enigma surrounding the case. Part 5. Later Crimes and Media Frenzy. After the initial flurry of attacks and cryptic letters, the Zodiac seemed to vanish. The months turned into years with no new crimes or disturbing correspondence. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air, leaving behind a community forever scarred but still clueless. However, around 1974, the Zodiac re-emerged, sending another letter to the San Francisco Chronicle. This time, he claimed responsibility for more than 30 killings, a staggering number that dwarfed the confirmed victims. The police dismissed this claim as a hoax, believing the Zodiac was attempting to fabricate a more extensive criminal record. Yet some believe the Zodiac's later behavior demonstrates that he continued to stalk the streets of Northern California, preying on unsuspecting victims. During the late 1970s, several more murders bore a striking resemblance to the Zodiac's MO, leading some to believe that he was the culprit. These later crimes, coupled with the ambiguity surrounding the Zodiac's claims, added a layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. The media, ever eager for sensational stories, played up the suspense, fanning the flames of public fear and speculation. Each new story of the Zodiac's supposed exploits drew more attention to the case, creating a frenzy that both captivated and terrified the public. Newspapers printed the ciphers in full, inadvertently helping the killer gain notoriety. Part 6. Legacy and Unanswered Questions. By the late 1970s, the Zodiac seemingly vanished. Letters became rare, and no confirmed murders were attributed to him after 1974. Yet his legacy endured. The ciphers remain a puzzle, the murders remain unsolved, and countless amateur detectives continue to hunt for answers. The case of the Zodiac Killer is a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. It is a testament to the enduring power of fear and the indelible mark that unsolved mysteries can leave on our collective consciousness. Even 5 decades later, the Zodiac's shadow still looms large. Why do you think the Zodiac Killer case continues to captivate us today? Is it the brutality of the crimes, the taunting nature of the killer, or the lack of closure after all these years? Share your thoughts below. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more. We've got plenty more fascinating mysteries to explore together. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one.